Scum and villainy, yeah, it's a wretched hive. But life ain't always teddy bears, fireworks, and high fives. The folks round here don't care for sand. Stick around long enough, you'll be lucky just to lose a hand. Singing Yum Num.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cantina Club. This week we went on the road. We went to Mississippi Comic-Con 2021, and we'll be right back to tell you all about it after this. Don't go anywhere.
We all know round here, Solo always does shots first. Singing Yum Num, raise your glass and sing Yum Num. Sing it with me, Yum Num. At the Cantina Club.
It is a long intro. All right, we're back. So this week, this past weekend, Greedo and I went to Mississippi Comic-Con 2021 down in Jackson, Mississippi. And we had a great time. It was a really good event. And that's basically what we're going to do here. We're just going to kind of give you guys a sort of a look back at what we experienced and the people we met and some of the stories we learned and things like that. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Greedo, first of all, and see what did you think of the convention overall?
Overall, I thought it was a good time. It was very crowded, which I expected, but
very definitely, yeah, it was crazy crowded because now that the conventions are starting to come back, people will go anywhere for anything.
Yeah. Well, I've been to one or two of these in the past, maybe two of them. And they always had good crowds. And the lines, somebody mentioned online that a lot of times the autograph organization is a little too crowded as far as the lines tend to cross each other and stuff. And I thought they did a better job this year of keeping the floor plan spaced out. Like we noticed that when we first got there.
Yeah.
There was a huge center aisle for you to walk down with the vendors on both sides.
Right.
It didn't feel crowded even when it got really busy.
Yeah, and even the cross aisles were that way as well. Because I remember Pensacon like 2020 before the pandemic hit. I remember it being very claustrophobic.
Oh yeah,
just really tight.
Several times you're stuck and have to wait for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, you really had to sit there and wait because nobody would move.
If somebody's perusing something, you're just stuck for a while.
Exactly.
But yeah, that layout was good, and it may have had something to do with there not being as many vendors or something, and also they didn't have as many autograph guests this time, which was fine because we were there for really only one.
Yeah,
we ended up doing more than one, but
yeah.
But the autograph layout was done pretty well with the tables back to back with a curtain between them, so that you had the lines going out, and then along the walls. And I really didn't see a lot of problems with the lines.
No, I didn't either. I mean, the two biggest lines, of course, were Sting from WWE and Billy Dee Williams. But even then, they seemed extremely manageable and not crazy or winding around the building or anything like that. They all kind of kept it within the framework of the sort of tape they had on the ground for the lines, and never really seemed to go much farther than that.
And a lot of the stuff. The con, the guest things are beyond the con's control a little bit. Like, we found out the day before or a couple of days before the Billy Dee Williams schedule, and he was only going to sign at 2:30 on Saturday and like 1:30 on Sunday. So basically 2 hours on Saturday and an hour and a half on Sunday. That's a very limited window.
That is a very
limited your autographs in.
Yeah, because I remember we were a little bit apprehensive about that as well. Yeah, thinking, we're going to go all the way down there just to meet him, and then something's going to happen, and we're going to get, not going to get an autograph because the line's going to be too long or something like that.
Yeah, we had altogether like 10 items to sign between all of us, and I would have normally liked to go through the line a few times, so as not to hold things up and all of that, and do some in the morning and do some in the afternoon or whatever. And just find times when the line isn't that busy. But with that narrow window, you knew it was going to be a big line. And the other thing that they did that made it tough on us was they scheduled his panel in the big room at 1:00 and his autograph signing at 2:30. And he had a photo op at 2:00. So our odds of rushing from the panel to the autograph line and not being, stuck near the back of the line was pretty bad. So
yeah,
we found workarounds for all that. Though we ended up, because of our patience and our
exactly.
experience with lines, we were able to be second in line and get
it
everything
worked
done.
out really
So,
well, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he did have a really long line by the time the 2:30 rolled around.
Oh, sure. Yeah. By the time he was just about to get
packed
out there, the line was really, really back there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were lucky enough to be right at the front, you know, and we're literally, I think, about the second group that got to go up. So, so it was nice. Yeah. So basically, you know, and I feel like also I'll give props to the organizers, because obviously this being the South in the summertime, it's going to be very, very hot. And they had set it up to where the check-in lines were all inside, like the main arena.
Right.
So people who, you know, got there, even, I mean, obviously we got there very early, you know, before 8:30 or so. So it wasn't hot yet, but those people that came in, you know, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you know, had you been outside, you'd be standing out there in the sun and it'd be hot and it'd be miserable.
It was hot enough even at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Of course,
and the doors didn't open until 10. So they brought everybody in at 8:30 and put them in the stands in their little Coliseum thing. And you were processed and then put in the stands to wait, and then they let people come into the floor one section at a time from the stands. So you got to sit down and wait in a air conditioned, you know, environment and stuff, instead of sitting outside the
just
building.
Standing outside in the heat. Yeah.
There could have been a thunderstorm or any number of things. So that was smart and good for the attendees, you know, and for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, big props on that, because even Star Wars Celebration, you know, failed in that regard. I remember us standing in the street in the middle of the dark, you know,
4 o'clock in the morning
by us.
Yeah, we're standing in the
dodging
dark,
cars.
no street light,
No,
and there's
nothing.
cars flying past us.
Yeah, a massive line going out into the street.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
People to get mowed down.
That was awful. Yeah. But overall, I thought that the way everything, like you already alluded to, the way the main floor was set up, the way check-in was done, everything just seemed to go really smoothly.
They had plenty of security to get people checked in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
and they
really
had knowledgeable staff there. The couple of times I asked questions, they had the answers and, you know, directed me right where I needed to go. So it was very helpful and really well run, I thought. So, you know, the main guest we went to see, of course, was Billy Dee Williams, also known as Lando Calrissian in Star Wars parlance. We had seen him.
He was scheduled for last year, but they canceled the con last year in 2020. So this was a big update for him.
Yeah, exactly. We had seen him once before at Celebration Orlando 2017. Didn't meet him or get autographs at that time, but we did get to see him and watch his panel. I think it was called Smooth Talking with Lando Calrissian or with Billy Dee Williams.
I did get his autograph in 2017.
Oh, did you? Okay, I didn't
on our
recall
fan
that.
club poster. Yeah, I got it on the fan club
right,
poster.
that's right. Forgot about that. So anyway, but I had not met him yet. But yeah, so Greedo was nice enough to hold our place in the autograph line while I went to the panel, and it was an interesting panel. You know, he answered. He had the bulk of the panel was him answering audience questions. They started out with about a maybe 10-minute little intro with his manager who was there with him, and they basically just kind of did a brief intro and a talk, and then they opened the floor for questions basically. And of course, they had a line, you know, a very long line that he ended up having to cut off because, you know, everybody wanted to ask a question. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because it was enjoyable. He went kind of from very lucid answers and very talkative about things to, I don't know. Somebody asked us really long questions, very detailed, you know, about something that happened, you know, 30 years ago. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I have no idea what that is. Which I can't blame him.
Who is Dave Filoni was my favorite one that I heard.
Yeah, the best answer ever.
I haven't watched the video yet. What was it like working with Dave Filoni? Well, not memorable.
Yeah, the question was, you know, the question that was put to him was, how was it like working with Dave Filoni when you voiced the character of Lando in Rebels? And he kind of got this look of like, what, wait, what? And he like leaned over to his manager, like, and you could hear he didn't pull the mic away, and he's like, who's Dave Filoni? And that got a lot of laughs from the audience. And then of course, his manager cleared it up by saying, well, he probably didn't work with Dave Filoni. He probably just worked with the individual episode directors and not Dave Filoni.
Like Dave Filoni hangs out in the recording studio talking to all the voice
overall
actors
creative director
all the time,
of the show.
right?
Yeah, exactly. He's not sitting there directing every episode. Anyway, but yeah, it had some really funny answers like that. But he talked about everything. He even sang for us at one point. He was telling us about his very first role he ever had, which was in New York, where he grew up on Broadway. And he said he had 2 songs he had to sing, and that was his whole part. He was kind of like a page boy. He came in and he sang this one song, and then he actually sang the song for us, at least, like a verse of it. And then he said, yeah, and then I came out later and sang this song, and he sang basically the same exact song with different lyrics. So that was really interesting.
That's what most Broadway shows are like. Yeah. The same exact song with different lyrics.
With different lyrics, exactly. So yeah, so overall it was a really, really great thing, but it was cool because not everybody asked a Star Wars question. It was interesting. They asked about a lot of different movies. He seemed to be very knowledgeable and really remembered the movie Nighthawks. If you guys remember that from 81 or 82 or whatever that was. Yeah, he went on and on about all these details about filming Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone. It was really cool. Which, I think that's actually one of the movies that Greedo and Gundark and I saw in the theater together.
Yeah, we did.
Back in the day, I remember that. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So overall, it was a really great. They even did a card trick at one point. They played Sabak with a regular deck. They didn't have a Sabak deck, or Sabak, or however you want to pronounce it. But they brought a kid out of the audience who's a big Star Wars fan, and he got to actually go up and sit on the couch next to him, and it was literally, so they were even calling like Lando and this kid were playing Sabak, and they kept doing the cards back and forth. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was really a lot of fun. So
I didn't know about that.
We're going to at some point we're going to upload a video. I did a video recording of the entire panel, so be on the lookout for that in the next few days. That'll be up as well, so you can view that. But it was very enjoyable, really interesting. So why don't you tell us about how you felt the whole autograph process went?
Well, overall great, and we can get into the details of it, and kind of as far as the price and the everything like that. The price wasn't great, but he's one of the few Star Wars actors that I'm not going to sit here and criticize his pricing, because as we found out when we got there, I've met Derek Mackey quite a few times at different things, and he was there setting up.
That's Billy Dee Williams' agent or manager, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
he's with Cool Waters. Is the name of the company. I think it's his company basically. But so I spoke to him when we got there. There was only us and one other person in line, and he said that Billy Dee Williams was very nervous about being there because of the COVID situation. So that was the price is one thing, because I got over the shock of that because it was a bit more than I expected. But looking at it from his perspective, it wasn't necessarily gouging. It was just his price has gone up steadily since the Rise of Skywalker and everything. Yeah, and you could predict it. I mean, it wasn't. And there was some misinformation on the Comic-Con website, not really misinformation, but just open to interpretation. Yeah. That when I saw
about pricing,
like, are they gonna charge more for a poster? Are they gonna charge more for
an oversized item or a unique item?
Yeah, it was worded not precisely. When I looked at at Billy Dee Williams' actual information that came from Cool Waters, it was worded much better. Where it said your item 150, our 8x10 this, our 11x17 this, our other items priced appropriately. So it meant, like, because he was selling lithographs and things like that of his art, things signed. So they didn't want to list every single item, but they had them up where you could look at them. So, but when you saw that on the Comic-Con website, it was confusing. Like, oh, am I going to show up and they're going to say it's $225 for my poster?
Right, exactly. It was very confusing wording.
Yeah, so that was a little anxiety-inducing, but But really, once I got there, it was reasonable. I mean, you either think he's worth that or you don't. I think he is.
Yeah.
And I mean, no question. And he's only, time is only passing. He's only gotten older since we've seen him before. And he's only got so many signings left, and he didn't want to be there. I mean, it's not like he acted like he didn't want to be there, but to him, it was a risk. That's just how he feels, and I'm not going to criticize how he feels about it.
Sure.
And they had made it very clear to be in his line and to go up to him, you needed to wear a mask. They even took temperatures of everybody in line, and I have no problem with any of that. I feel like that's just if that's
whatever makes the guest comfortable. I'm fine with
that. Right. I have no problem with that. The only thing that bummed me out a little was that he wouldn't use our pens that we brought.
Right.
And I brought some specifically for some items that I wanted signed, and I did a lot of work on figuring out what colors I wanted.
Which ones were the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And I understood that because I thought when I saw these precautions, he probably wasn't going to want things handed to him. And I thought that at Pensacon, I wonder how many guests are going to take, pin, but none of them refused. They all took any pin I offered. But you just have to rethink these things now. And not let your disappointment, color your experience. Because,
exactly. And your overall enjoyment.
Yeah. This is just the world we're in now, and different people have different opinions. So when you're in your 80s, it's a different reality, than when you're younger or whatever. So, and we don't know his overall health picture or anything else. And he didn't know we're vaccinated, and
right. You don't know one thing. Yeah, exactly.
So I understood that. I didn't argue with them, but that was the only thing that I was disappointed about, because I didn't mind paying. There was a couple pieces I wanted a certain pin on, and he had quite a variety of pins and paint pens. He was able to fulfill, like 8 out of the 10 requests that we had.
Right.
But 2, we had to substitute something else. I just don't think they came out as well as what I would have liked. So, but that's just nitpicking, really, because I had the choice to say no, and I went through it anyway.
All right. So, why don't you go ahead and show us a couple of your, I know you got quite a few signed, but go ahead and show us a couple of your favorites.
Here's one.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. That's a really good one.
Yeah, and I don't want to get myself in any trouble, but right now there's no such thing as a source for licensed images. So you either have to buy from the table of a guest, which sometimes those images aren't licensed either. They're just produced by somebody somewhere.
Exactly.
And so so there's no licensed images. So I basically put in a ton of effort.
Yeah, you really did.
Making some images and I tried to get some different ones and a couple of standards.
And that's what I like about it too. It's a lot of the non-standard stuff.
Yeah,
that's a great one. Love that shot. Love that autograph.
And interestingly enough, Derek said when I handed him this one, but I shouldn't tattle and say Derek, but someone in the know who's very reliable tapped the picture of Harrison Ford there and said, hang on for this guy. He's coming up soon.
Yep. Yeah, that's great news.
There's been a lot of, he's done more signings recently than he usually does, but we didn't know with him doing Indiana Jones and all that. Yeah, you never know. And he's also been headlines about him being frustrated with being stalked by fans and stuff.
Exactly. So, that's been in the news lately.
So it was very cool to hear that, because I have a couple of pieces, including that one, that I'd like to have him sign. There's another one.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah, the blue looks really awesome on that. If you see that in person, you'll really understand how amazing that blue pops on that one.
Yeah, I like the blue light on his face there. So blue paint pen seems like
really
a great
good
choice.
Really great choice.
And there's several more. We'll post some pictures of them in the
video. I'll put those up at the end. So I'll go ahead and show you the one I got.
Gundark had 2 commissions, so she wasn't there, but we had 2 done for her.
And this is also one that Greedo prepped up for me, which was very nice of him. But I love this one from my favorite movie, of course.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's a black and white metallic print, 10 by 20.
Yeah.
Huge autograph on it. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it just looks so great with
And
just the fact that most of the principal cast is in there, and you got a whole squad of stormtroopers, and even Lobot makes an appearance.
and
the newest Cantina Club member.
Exactly. And if you win the lottery in the meantime, or we start a Kickstarter for you to get that done, you can always add forward to that, which I think would be phenomenal. And there's
that would be an
there.
incredible piece.
There's room right there for him to do it. I mean, that's a beautiful piece. These ones that are metallic prints, you almost have to see them in person.
You really do. Yeah,
they do come off pretty good in video, but
when you see them in person and the way they catch the light, they're just they really almost have that sort of mylar looking finish to them. They're really amazing, and
they have a incredible contrast and kind of depth of field, especially on black and white images. So anyway, they came out really, really great.
Really great. Yeah,
I have to thank Derek from Cool Waters, because he was the go-between. I put hours and hours of prep time into this. You can see that some of these still have the little foam padding on them. I basically padded all the corners on everything so that we could stack all the images. I mounted them to cardboard or to ragboard so that we could stack them all right after they're signed with paint pen and have that little bit of space between them where they can dry without getting smudged. So we didn't have to wait. We just grab them, stack them. Yeah, with Carillion there and with the other person we had there, with three of us. It went really amazingly well.
It really went seamless. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because I could feel the anxiety of everyone behind us in line when they saw me pull out this stack of things and I'm handing them over. And they're like, "Oh my God, he's the first guy."
Yeah, we were laughing about it afterwards about how if he hadn't had help, Greedo could have never gotten this done. Because not only were photos, he had
a poster
on there were posters he was getting signed. There was a little Funko box he was getting signed. There's even, you've seen on previous episodes, the Stormtrooper helmet that he's sort of slowly.
I forgot the Stormtrooper helmet.
He had the Stormtrooper helmet signed as well. There's no way he could have juggled all that with all those prints if you hadn't had it help and with it being able to be stacked. Because if we didn't,
I would have needed a shopping cart.
I mean, if he hadn't put in all that work to put the corner pieces on the cardboard on the corners so we could stack it like that, we literally would have been holding, each of us would have been holding with our toes, even holding up prints and waving them and trying to make them dry, because
it's impossible.
You can't touch them together. So
it would have had to have been Sharpie all day long. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
and like I said, what he did worked out perfect because we didn't have a single smudge in the bunch, so it was nice. It all went really, really well.
Really not a bad signature in the bunch either.
No, it was really not. He did a really good job.
Which was another benefit, I think, of going early because, anyway, I'll get into that in a minute. But the fact that we were all there together and that Derek was, really great at he just put it down and showed Billy exactly where to sign. And also that we've taken them off now, but I had everything labeled up, with very plain arrows and color and what we wanted. I even tried to sneak a couple of quotes in, but he wasn't.
He wasn't doing it. Yeah,
I tried a couple of short ones so that would have been perfect. Yeah, but maybe I'll catch him at some point when he in a better thing where they're doing quotes. But
exactly.
But anyway, so because of the preparation, that's really all I can say. If you're going to do a lot of stuff like this, be prepared. You don't have to be a professional autograph hunter because we're not. No. We do it for fun.
Yeah, we do all this for ourselves. Yeah.
You're going to find out if you get into it, you're going to have a heck of a lot more fun if you put the time in prepping your stuff beforehand.
Exactly.
And one thing about these prints, and especially metallic prints, is they're very susceptible to anything that happens to them. Elements, a little bit of water, fingerprints stay forever, and they're very hard to clean off without damaging the print. That's one thing about metallic prints. They look fantastic, but they're harder to maintain. So the more prep you can do to protect them and everything, as well as the ink on the image itself, the better off you'll be. And so I think we had that dialed in.
Yeah, I think so. No, you nailed it.
With all the hands on deck, we were able to pass things back and forth. And being able to stack those was the best thing because there was 7 prints, I think, altogether. And trying to put those into an Itoya binder or something after they dried or whatever the case would have been would not have worked out so well.
No, it would not. That would have been bad.
So anyway, that all went incredibly smoothly, and they even took a credit card at the table. So instead of counting out all the money, I just paid with a credit card.
Yeah,
and that worked out better too. So
exactly.
All that was great. I think what I wanted to mention, I don't want to criticize the convention. We're not into criticizing people here all that much, unless it's a fiasco and we have to.
Sure.
I'll always criticize Tops, for their handling in 2017, because that was just a debacle.
That was a debacle, and Negan deserves to be called out.
Yeah, they still to this day deserve to be called out. But yeah, the convention evidently didn't have the foresight to provide transportation for Billy Dee Williams, who walks with a cane, is obviously got mobility problems and pain problems.
Yeah, he's in his 80s and he's just not that mobile. Yeah.
No, and he's had injuries and surgeries, 2 hip replacements. I mean, just stuff that's available publicly on the internet. I didn't look through his medical file, but I've heard it and I've seen it in person, that he's physically challenged, in a lot of ways. And evidently they didn't provide any kind of little scooter or wheelchair or golf cart or anything to get him from the autograph area or wherever he came into the con to the little Coliseum area. Then they also had him climb the stairs to the stage.
A fairly large set of stairs too.
Yeah,
at
which
least
was pretty high.
About 15 steps to that thing.
Yeah, it was, and instead of, they could have easily set up the stage where you could have come in on the upper level and walked straight onto it, and they didn't do that. So I'm not criticizing them, but I think Derek was pretty steamed about it, because he's there, handling and with Billy and knows the struggles he's going through. So I was worried that he made it to his signing at 2:30 on the nose, but I was afraid he was going to be exhausted.
Yeah, I did too. And I was afraid of that as well.
And the quality of the autographs, I mean, obviously not as important as him, but
of course,
we're going to take these home, and I was afraid. So I think the fact that we got in second, and he probably got pretty fatigued by the end of that huge line of people. So
I'm sure he was. Yeah. And to that point, I know that that's also part of the reason why he's refusing to do quotes and things like that, because it would have taken even more out of him, I think, to sit there and have to write these long quotes. And that's the other thing too, is he was in a state to where he wasn't, directly interacting much, with the people getting stuff signed. We can only speak to when we were there, of course. We were literally second in line, so we only saw the people in front of us, and then we went. But yeah, I mean, we did get his attention when we were leaving. Greedo and myself both.
He was friendly.
Exactly. Yeah, he wasn't being not saying he was being standoffish by any means.
No.
He was just,
but he wasn't engaging in conversation with anyone.
Right. And the fact that he had, plus he had a wall of plexiglass in front of him and wearing a facial visor, a face shield all the way down to here, kind of prevented some of that sort of dialogue. But, he did respond. And, when I waved at him and thanked him for coming, he waved and smiled, so it wasn't like he was being, distant and standoffish.
That's another thing too. I wish that the con had been a little more specific about. If I had known he was going to wear a face shield, I might have actually considered a photo op, because you could see his face. I mean, there's a big difference between a face shield, as goofy as some people may think it looks. And that. But we were supposed to wear masks, but we could have figured out something, either Star Wars masks or a Cantina Club masks. I could have had some Cantina Club masks made. I mean, there's ways to make it fun, But the other rule that the con had, I don't know if it was the con or the guest, but it seemed like it was the con, was only 2 adults per photo op. And you could have 2 adults, 2 children, but if you have a 3rd adult, you have to buy a whole nother photo op ticket. That's, that's silly.
The gouging.
The gouging. Photo ops have always been, I mean, the rules I'm sure are different from promoter to
they are,
but everyone I've ever been to, you can get 4 people, 4 adults.
Right.
And that's fun, and you can share the cost and everything. And when you start limiting it, it becomes silly. And
exactly. I agree completely.
So that kept us from doing that. But anyway, glad that we got good graphs and that he was able to, he didn't seem out of breath or too tired or anything. So I'm glad about that.
Not at all.
For the challenges he faced there. And also we were camping his line all day. Obviously didn't sign till 2:30. We got in the door at 10 o'clock. And we were from 8:30 on, we were in line or sitting down waiting to get into the floor.
Mhm.
But anyway, all day we were kind of wondering, is he going to cancel?
Yeah, we were really
it was
worried.
a real possibility.
Yeah.
So very, very happy, and
Mhm.
grateful that he was able to make it
Absolutely.
and able to tough it out and,
Yeah,
say
absolutely.
what you want, whatever your beliefs are, but he felt there was a risk. The risk is real to him, and it is a
Yep.
real risk, and he was willing to take it. Sure, he got paid and everything, but he could have easily, canceled.
He
and for the
really
reason to
could
stay
have.
home.
Yeah,
He did
absolutely.
not, so.
But we really weren't that stressed about it because if you watch last week's episode, the Boar Gullet already told us he was going to be there.
Right.
So, and we already, so I wasn't stressed at all. I know Greedo was because he has no faith in the Boar Gullet.
No,
but
none.
I believe the Boar Gullet when he speaks. So just saying.
Yeah.
So beyond the Billy Dee Williams experience, we also had the pleasure of meeting Matthew Wood. And for those of you who are not familiar with Matthew Wood, you should be. If you're watching this podcast, you should probably know who that is. He's basically at this point the supervising sound director for most Star Wars projects at this point. He's been working with Lucasfilm since 1990. So for 31 years now, he, the first project he worked on was the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles with George Lucas and that crew.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, he actually told me that on Saturday when we met him. And then so he's transitioned from that. He said that was just basically kind of a real experimental time for them, really trying a lot of different things, both visually and sound editing wise. Then he transitioned from that into these special editions when she did work there. Then, the prequels from there. And then from there, he's been involved in Clone Wars, Rebels, and all the currents. Oh, and of course the sequel trilogy, Rogue One, Solo. He's worked on every film basically since the post original trilogy, and he's been involved in all the current stuff that's coming up. He was telling me about how he's currently splitting his time between the U.S. and England because he's going over there to handle some stuff on Andor. And he was telling me he also just got through wrapping up on Book of Boba Fett. He's been working on that. What else is he talking about? Oh, of course, he also, he does work beyond Star Wars. Just look up his IMDb. The list is just, enormous. He works on all the Marvel stuff as well. He just got through working a few episodes of Loki. He said he worked, what are the other, I think he said he might have done work on Black Widow, the new movie coming out.
Oh, cool.
And also WandaVision. He said he worked all the episodes of WandaVision as well. So he's a very, very, very busy guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was great.
He should have a whole bookshelf of awards too. I don't know. We should ask him that.
Right. I know. We should ask him that.
Yeah. How much for one of your awards, Matthew? Mr.
Exactly.
Wood. You got so many.
But the guy couldn't have been nicer. I went over there at first, to meet him on my own, and he didn't have obviously a big line like a Billy Dee Williams or anything. He averaged anywhere from, a couple of times I went by, there was nobody there, but there's about 8 to 10 people in line, generally speaking.
He took his time with people.
And he took his time with everybody. Like
longer,
when I got there, and I'm not exaggerating, he spent 20 minutes talking to me, and it wasn't me sitting there peppering him with questions to get him to talk that long. I was literally just following along with his conversation. He was the one just telling me all this stuff. And he actually asked about, I was wearing my Cantina Club shirt. If you watch the videos, you'll see I was wearing that. And he asked me about what that was. I told him the story. He was real intrigued with that. And from there, we just kind of started talking about his whole history with Lucasfilm. And just the thing that got me the most is how he just seems so humble and down to earth about his job. Because he literally
told me, job for so many of us.
He literally looked at me and said, he said, I'm just like you, man. He's like, I grew up a fan, and he said, I can't tell you how many times we're sitting around, planning or talking about, Book of Boba Fett or The Mandalorian or something like that. He said, and then we literally just stop and we look at each other like, are we really doing this? Are we actually like deciding what happens in Star Wars? And he said, it's funny, we catch ourselves doing that. Like, and he was telling me about like some meeting he just had a couple of days prior to that with, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and stuff like that. And just how they do that in those meetings. They just have these moments where they just kind of pause and say, wow, we're working on Star Wars. This is our life. We actually work on this now.
I think that's great. I think it's great that there's people like that in there.
I love it when it's in the hands of the fans. The people that grew up with this and know what it's really about.
Because they know how we feel.
Exactly.
If we were in that position, we'd feel the same way. And
absolutely.
There's a responsibility that comes with that. And if you don't feel it,
right,
I don't know that you're the right people for the job. So
right. So yeah, he was great. Had a really nice talk with him, and so I'll go ahead and show it now. I got a nice signature from him, and this is also indicative of showing you kind of what a nice guy he is. And another thing, which I failed to mention in the introduction, he's also, in addition to his sound design work, he does voice acting work. A lot of voice. He's the voice of General Grievous. He's the voice of the battle droids, and then any number of other side characters throughout Clone Wars and Bad Batch, and you name it. And he's also done. He's played Bib Fortuna, starting as far back as Phantom Menace, and then made a couple of appearances since then, incling the little teaser at the end of Mandalorian season 2. Yeah, the post-credit scene for Book of Boba Fett. That's him.
Which he told me that's an actual set. There was no volume involved in that. No,
right.
Digital stuff. They built the whole thing, which makes sense if they're going to use that set a lot in the series.
Right. If it's going to feature in the show, you might as well build the whole thing.
He said it was amazing to
instead of trying to green screen it. Yeah,
you're looking around and you're in Jabba's palace, and it looks exactly correct. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, so I got him to sign this image of General Grievous there.
Nice.
Kind of see what there. Now, keep in mind. All I asked for was a signature, and all this other stuff you see on there, he added himself without me even asking. That kind of shows you also kind of what a nice guy he is. He put my name. He put prepare for attack. He wrote voice of General Grievous, put 2021 on there. According to his little sheet there, that would have cost me a lot more money, to get all that. And he just threw it in, because we were just standing there having a good time talking. Yeah, just a really genuinely
cares
nice
about your experience.
Exactly.
Meeting him, which goes a long way.
Right. Absolutely.
A long way.
Yeah, it really does. So anyway, so it was a fantastic time meeting him. Really the highlight of my particular Comic-Con experience. I really, really enjoyed that. That's probably the number one. As cool as it was to meet Billy Dee Williams, talking to Matthew Wood and just having that conversation with him was the best part for me.
Not the Boss Hog pizza that we had.
Well, that just goes without saying.
That was really good.
Yeah,
the nachos are great that we had Friday night.
Yeah, they really were.
I hope in future, when we, if we're lucky enough to get to do cons together again, that we get to pace ourselves a bit like we did with this one. And we took an extra day to get there to, chill out in the hotel room and, go have a good dinner and relax and organize things.
It wasn't hit the ground running.
No. Yeah. Saturday morning was a little frantic because the hotel was so busy. We had trouble getting out the door and stuff, but nothing we couldn't handle.
Yeah, nothing bad. Fine. Nothing really bad.
Nothing bad at all. And
I do have one anecdote, however, I must say, there are times in life when you realize who your friends are, and who pretends to be a friend and instead leaves you stranded.
Which is usually what traitors do. People with traitor.
I don't know what you're talking about with that, but this is my conversation. I'm going to talk now. I have the floor.
I see. Okay.
So we go down to breakfast, Greedo and myself.
Is this going to take long? I have
I'll keep it under.
We're running over on time.
So we go down and we're getting breakfast, and he's getting breakfast also for our other friend that was with us up in the room. And
see, you start with me doing a generous thing.
Exactly, because you're a nice guy, or so until the knife goes in, and
right.
And this, so I'm hanging out, being, I've got my food, I've got my coffee, I got my food. I'm like, I'm good. good. And Greedo even turned to me, he said, hey, you can head on back up if you want, I'll meet you up there. And I was like, no, that's fine. I'll wait here for you. So while he's waiting, because he was waiting because they didn't have all the breakfast stuff out there yet. So he was waiting a minute. So I was like, you know what? I need to take my vitamins. So I went over to let me get some water, and I got the one. I took the vitamins. I turn around just in time to see Greedo getting on the elevator and the door closing. Like, wait a minute, what? Like, did I not just say no? I'm waiting for you. And so I had to go back.
It was
over
bad
and
intelligence.
and then I had to go back and wait forever for the freaking elevator to show up again.
Yeah, there were two. How was I going to know it was going to take that long?
So I'm just saying, people, be careful who you choose as friends. It can really, slap you across the face when you're not expecting it.
Yeah. Let me ask the Borgullet, who is a whiny little bitch next time. Carillion Traitor was kind enough. He just knew I was going to pass out any second if the food didn't come out soon enough. So he was there to apply CPR when I keeled over from lack of nutrition.
I was prepared.
And then I just abandoned him.
Yes, he did.
And I even snuck off with the 2 trays of food.
Yeah,
I just managed to sneak away.
No food for me. So anyway, but no, yeah, like you said, we planned it well, and it was a really good time. Getting there the afternoon before the convention, and just taking our time, getting settled in the hotel, going out to a nice dinner, and just being able to relax for several hours before we hit it on Saturday. And then headed back the night after the con on Saturday night. It was a lot of fun overall, a great experience. So let's talk a little bit about the actual showroom floor. What did you think about the merchandise on display and the sort of how? I mean, we already talked about the layout. It was obviously a very good, wide open layout. People can move easily. But anything that caught your eye? I know you. I don't think you really bought anything much, did you?
No, I didn't buy anything. But there was the standard, kind of convention vendors there, and some local groups. And then there was just a ton of merchandise. I could have spent a long time just going around checking everything out. I also liked the free arcade they had set up. I did
right. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go see. I actually forgot about it. I didn't get to go play it. And you played Zaxxon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I expected all the machines to be taken, but when I went by there, Zaxxon was open, and I used to play the hell out of that game. So
we used to go to the arcades and play that like crazy.
I forgot how freaking difficult it is until I tried to play it again. But no, the merchandise and stuff was great. So I really thought they did a good job with all the vendors and everything.
I enjoyed it.
There was a lot there. There was just so many people by the time we got done, and we had camped out all day and everything, that we got what we came for.
Yeah. So we went ahead and called it a wrap.
Yeah. It's like I said, I've spent enough money already.
Yeah.
To just spend any more today. So
exactly.
But it was there if you wanted to. It was
there if you wanted it. And we didn't even get food or anything because it was, I didn't even look at the prices. I don't know if it was expensive or not, but I just didn't want to stand in line for it and deal with that.
The other thing we would be remiss if we didn't mention was just how many people were there for Sting.
Yeah, it was huge crowd for Sting. I would have to say that he was the top draw for this convention.
Oh, big time.
Because at the beginning, when we were waiting in the arena after we had checked in before they allowed us into the actual convention itself, we were sitting there and they had kind of this MC guy just kind of keeping everybody warm and give them something to think about instead of staring at the wall. And he would ask the crowd, he's like, all right, who's here for Sting? And it was just this huge roar went up, It's like, wow. I even leaned over to Greedo at that point and said, hey, that's good news for us.
Yeah.
Fewer people
maybe less Billy people Dee, for Billy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
he started signing at like maybe 11:30 or something. And it was just solid people the whole time we were there.
And he was originally only scheduled for 3 hours,
or something,
but he extended. Yeah, he extended like an extra hour or two
because he had people in line. Yeah,
he had people in line, and he didn't want to turn them away. They finally, at one point, did finally cut the line. But
and about every 15 or 20 minutes, there'd be that huge round of whatever that call is that he was known for.
I don't. Yeah.
It would just go all around the whole place.
I don't follow wrestling enough to know the difference, but everybody just kept going, woo, woo.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I thought that was Ric Flair, but I guess he does it too. Okay.
Yeah, he was at the time the new Ric Flair, I guess.
Mhm.
And then he would do it, and they would do it back, and then it was pretty crazy. We were right there next to
yeah,
Sting
their
on the other
tables were
side.
right. Yeah, their booths were right
Yeah,
side by
we were
side.
camped out with no one around, and we were just looking right at him the whole time.
Yeah, we were literally like 20 feet from the guy.
I
It was
almost
pretty
got
cool.
thrown out while I was camping in line because I took a picture of him, and one of the volunteers came over and told me
and said,
that
"Don't
was
do that."
forbidden. Yeah, basically.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know
but
that.
yeah,
Because I took a couple of pictures of him too. Nobody
yeah, it just
noticed, I
depends if
guess.
somebody saw you or not.
Yeah.
It was no big deal.
That's funny. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think it was a great time. Here's the program I've got here.
Hmm.
You can see the sort of the artwork there and the special guests and everything pictured there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
A lot of anime
Just kinda-
fans were there.
Oh yeah, a lot of anime presence there. And sort of the schedule of events and the photo op schedule and just kind of a little bit of everything that we did. But yeah. So it was a really good convention. Really had a good time. I recommend going next year when they hopefully they'll do it again. I'm sure they will based on the turnout this year.
Well, that company is doing at least 3 more cons in the Mid-South area, 2 in Arkansas and 1 in Louisiana this summer and fall. And a lot of times when it's rolling along, they do 2 in Mississippi, 2 in Jackson, 1 in the spring and 1 in the fall. But obviously with COVID and stuff, that all's been
right. They'll probably just be the one this year. Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw John Rice Davies there year before last, and usually have some pretty good guests and everything. So well worth going to. And they're keeping their admission prices really low.
Yeah.
So far, which is another fantastic thing they're doing. We always wonder why limit people when you can make as much money and get more people. It's good for your vendors to have more foot traffic. It's the more the better kind of
Don't
thing.
price yourself to such a small crowd.
Yeah. So but they don't offer a VIP there, and maybe in future they will. I would have bought one because then that probably would have saved me from having to camp out. But that's not a bad idea either. Just keep everybody on the same footing, and you have to put in the effort if you want.
Exactly.
So, old school way.
So unlike normal episodes where we do special segments at the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and do kind of a Veriku section now. We've already shown our autographs and things like that, but I did pick up a few more items while we were in Jackson. And so I'm going to go ahead and show those now. I picked up the latest issue of Star Wars Insider, featuring somebody you may have seen before on the cover. So I got that. Also, 40th anniversary, even though it was last year.
Starkiller.
The 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. Just a full magazine. You can see there the whole thing is the Empire Strikes Back with lots of really great photos in there. Some really interesting stuff. So I picked that up as well. And then the other thing I'm going to show is the shirt that I'm actually wearing is one of the ones I bought at the convention there with the Stormtrooper there. Yep. So adding to my collection.
Is that just a design, or is that something specific?
I think it's just a design. If it's something specific, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was a cool design on the Stormtrooper helmet, so I decided to pick it up. Just kind of a negative view, like a photo negative of it. So so that was basically our convention experience. We had a great time. I'm including in the episode here a little sort of a montage of video and photos and things that we took while we were there, so you can kind of vicariously experience it through us if you weren't able to attend. Any final thoughts on the week or anything else, Greedo?
No, just gratitude that Billy was there. I don't regret spending the money. I am a big proponent of controlling the prices of autographs because I've gotten into autographs probably too much, but specifically Star Wars autographs, I've branched off a little bit, but I don't consider myself a collector. I'm just, because I don't resell. I'm not collecting to get a valuable collection. I'm doing it because I like it. And so from my point of view, the more the prices go up, the more difficult it makes it for people like me who just want souvenirs.
True fans to get souvenirs.
Yeah, I just want souvenirs, basically. And nobody wants a $500 souvenir.
Right.
I don't look at it as an investment or something valuable. I treat them with respect. I keep them, but it's just a whole different issue from hardcore collectors who are treat it like a stock or something and buying it at a certain point. I think the fans need affordable things to get excited about.
I agree.
The convention circuit and a lot of stuff has been on an inflation thing along with everything in the world in America. But I hope somebody slows the roll on that and reins it in, because and again, the price is debatable on this con for Billy, but I feel like he's one of those ones that I'm not gonna. The only reason I regret it is because I would have gotten more if he was cheaper. I definitely would have done more pieces. So for me, it's it's not the greatest, but I understand what he's doing, and he could have signed for 4 hours and made a lot more. He could have doubled his money.
Yeah,
but
of course.
It's obviously not totally about the money. It's about what he can do, what he's capable of doing, and so overall, grateful that he was there, grateful that you were there, grateful that our other person was there, and that we made it all work, and nothing went wrong, and it was a good con, and that's about it. I look forward to the next one. It's it's good to be able to look forward to doing some things like this again. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, of course, my favorite part was just being able to spend time with you guys, and go to the convention and just have that time to hang out for a couple of days. That's always the best part to me. That's the best part of even doing this show that we do. It's like I always tell people when we talk about it that I don't do this for the likes or the comments or those are nice and they're great, but I don't do it for that reason. I don't. I do it because every week I get to spend 2 hours with one of, and sometimes two of my dearest friends talking about something I love. That to me is the best part of the show. But as far as the convention itself, I'll give a few shout outs here to one to ABC Conventions for putting on what I felt was a pretty seamless event. Ran very smooth and was very enjoyable to attend. So definitely a thumbs up for that. Billy Dee Williams, it was great. Seeing his panel and meeting him and getting his autograph, it was great. And obviously a big shout out to Matt Wood. It was a great conversation. Learned a lot of interesting things I didn't know before, and he was just a genuinely nice guy. So I appreciate the time he took to talk to me, and the free stuff on the autograph. So that was great.
And I want to mention Derek Mackey too, because he is an agent, and I have a low opinion of agents in general, not him specifically, but agents in general from my life experience. Right. And he worked his ass off, from when we were there till then, and he really he was facilitating keeping Billy distanced and safe and making sure people got. I mean, he discussed the autographs with us, even though we were quick and efficient. He really helped make them come out well and cared about it, about giving us a good product. So
he genuinely cared, because at one point Greedo even asked him, "What color do you recommend on this?" And
we had short little discussions, and he knows what he's done a million of these.
He's done a million. He knows what looks good on what kind of prints. Yeah, exactly.
And, so he kept his cool, and he's a big he can be a big personality when he wants to be, and he can be reserved, but anyway, he served the moment really well, and the fans really well, and so I got nothing but good things to say about him. And also want to mention another great thing about being old school and standing in line is we met some great people in line too, and several, and that made it a much more enjoyable experience as well, instead of just wandering around the convention aimlessly. We had good conversations and learned a lot about different fans and what they were there to get signed in their stories, and that was great too. So
no, absolutely. And to your point, Derek Mackey was, he really was doing everything. He was there first, setting up the booth, putting everything out where it had to be. Then he was over facilitating the entire panel. He was the one, he was basically the MC of the panel, and sat there the whole time talking with Billy Dee.
I'm sure that was
answering the questions from the audience.
The people around Billy Dee Williams and his exposure, because usually
and that it does limit that.
Comic-Con,
Exactly.
they have that other gentleman that MCs most of the panels, or they have their ABC conventions people do most of the panels. So I'm sure that was part of that. But he did a great job, and it had to be a stressful event for him.
Yeah, because then as soon as
handled it really well.
as soon as he gets done with the panel, he's over at the photo ops taking care of things there, and then he's literally the one handing every photo to Billy Dee during this autograph signing session. So yeah, the guy works hard.
Yeah.
The guy earns his money. I'm not
definitely
not going to take that away from him.
Definitely.
He doesn't just
and
sit
he
back.
he gave me the inside scoop on Ford too. So
right. So
that's
so
great.
even more kudos. Exactly. So overall, that was it, guys. A great experience. We'd both highly recommend that you attend next year, and check out other conventions by ABC Conventions as well. They seem to know what they're doing. So yeah, that's basically it. Until next time, leave us a comment down below, leave us a like, subscribe to us, click the little bell icon if you want to get notifications when we do upload new videos, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey everybody, welcome to the Cantina Club on the road. We're in Jackson, Mississippi this weekend at the Mississippi Comic-Con. We're going to meet Billy Dee Williams and maybe even Matthew Wood this weekend. So we're about to head out in a few minutes, but we'll be checking in shortly to let you know how it's going. Stay with us.
They say good things will come to those who wait for the sign. But God knows how long I've been waiting here, barely alive. I've got to see this thing through.
Alright, we're here, and we're in line. As you can see, they've got the line at least inside, so it's not outside in the heat. Still really not hot yet, so it's getting there. But yeah, we're about to get in, hopefully. Assault! But yeah, we're hoping to get in and get in line pretty early, so we don't have to wait 2 full hours to get to Billy Dee Williams. And that's
We're getting video bombed.
lots of video bombs going on, but yeah, it's great. All right, we'll check in again in just a few minutes.
Truth that I make, my resolve, although it's conflicted, it may be battered, but it never will break. When are you coming back? My soul is burning black. Never gonna give up on you. Could I have been so wrong? Can I face that you are gone? I've got to see this thing through. I wish I knew what you're thinking, 'cause this shit's slowly sinking. Hanging on to it feels like a shot in the dark. When will you throw me something? Memories fade to nothing. Praying for fire or even a spark. I've got to see this thing through.
All right, well, that is Mississippi Comic-Con 2021. We had a great time, met Billy Dee Williams, saw the panel. I'll put that on the video you'll be watching. But we had a great time. We'll be doing, I hope you enjoyed the wrap-up that we gave for it. Definitely try and come out and support the convention next time. They need your support to keep these things going. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again next time on the road. See, Greedo loves it. Little baby Greedo loves it. Mandalorian has Baby Yoda. We have Baby Greedo.
There's a baby Yoda, a baby Rancor. There's a baby everything.
I know, yeah,
Prepare yourself for baby
Life
everything.
ain't always teddy
Yeah,
bears,
baby,
fireworks,
we're
and
done.
high
Oh, I know.
fives.
Yeah, that one thing that's popular. They're gonna
Folks
try with
round here
everything.
don't care for sand. You'll be lucky just to lose a hand. Singing yum num. Raise your glass and sing yum num. Yum num. At the Cantina Club.
All right, hold on. I'm about to record a video thing. Let me know when you're going.
We're going.
Okay. Hey guys. Wow. Zoom. Hey everybody. This is Cantina Club on the road now. We are in Jackson, Hey everybody, and welcome to the Cantina Club on the road. We are in Jackson, Mississippi this week, and what you're talking about video? What?
I was just doubling it to make sure you got it right.
Oh wow.
Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay. All right. Hey guys.
Be professional.
All right.
For fuck's sake.
Know, right? Yeah, that would be for both of us.